Hello family and welcome new viewers. In this video, a sister in Christ had a peculiar rapture dream which she wanted to share with other believers worldwide like yourself. Please share if you ever had a dream like this in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.
Hello everyone, my name is Lynn, and I have been instructed by God to share the 3 rapture dreams I had on the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of July 2025. I will release one dream per video, plus any thoughts and impressions I had from the dream and what God told me about it. I pray this reaches those who need to know. I pray it gives encouragement and hope to the saved. And I pray that it gives caution and warning to anyone who may be on the fence or opposed to the idea that they can reevaluate their choices and hopefully change their mind. So with introductions covered and the purpose of these videos stated, let's begin. I had a dream, and in this dream I find myself in the audience in front of a stage. Sitting with me are at least 4 other people. The performance was 2 people standing in front of a massive oval-shaped portal easily the size of a building, secured inside a dark chamber along its back wall. They did something, probably a ritual or spell, and the head, neck, upper chest, and front legs of a black dragon with blood-red eyes with slits for a pupil emerged from the portal. It flicked its tongue out, looked down at the 2 people, and said something to them in an unknown language. In a joking manner, I made a comment about wanting to throw a fireball, even though as a Christian I'm not supposed to use magic. I made the hand gesture and said the name of the spell, but nothing happened. Someone else also went to cast a spell and succeeded, but when they did so, the dragon looked right at them, the start of a sneer on its scaled mouth. The spell was redirected back at them. It hit them and they died. The scene shifted, and now the stage is empty. I shot an arrow onto the stage, and it struck a beam, embedding itself into it. I walked onto the stage and grabbed the arrow so the person that owned the stage didn't say anything. I barely managed to recover it, get back to my seat, and hide the arrow before they came in. They began examining the stage. The dream shifts again, and I find myself standing and looking out onto what looks like a college campus. It was massive, with tall buildings, landscapes, and what looked like an amphitheater in the center. In the center of the amphitheater, I see something going on in the sand. It distorts, and then demons, creatures, and monsters of every shape, type, and description come up out of the sand. There's another shift in the dream, and I find myself fighting in a war. All around me are Christians, angels, demons, and non-Christians. The demonic realm is fighting against the non-Christians, angels, and Christians. I'm also aware that there are enemy servants there, but they weren't immediately obvious. The demons took on all sorts of forms, including humans, and they had weird powers. Fighting alongside the Christians and the humans were every single hero character from every book, movie, video game, and TV show that ever existed. God had brought them all to life, which was epic. Among them, I saw Superman and Charles Xavier. At first, the enemy forces came up from the sand, and when they were defeated, they returned back through the sand. They came in waves, as if they were climbing through a bottleneck. Each time an enemy was defeated, they burst into flames, but the fire that they were hit by was the fire of God, which seemed to burst forth from the Christians and angels. This fire was a white, opalescent, pearlescent color. What was left of the enemy was blackened red-black sand, which moved downwards in a spiral pattern, then went back into the sand through which it came. I had the impression that when they were defeated, they were placed in a holding chamber or prison where they could not fight anymore. Once all the enemies that came up from the ground were defeated, they began coming in from the sky. I remember looking up, sensing the presence of evil, and I shouted, "Gather up, gather up!" Everyone that was on the side of God, the angels and the Christians, gathered around me. I seemed to be appointed by God as a leader, a captain perhaps, that was given this group of angels and Christians to lead into battle, to encourage and strengthen them. I shouted, "All right, prepare yourselves. The next wave is coming. Get ready for battle." And everyone nodded and prepared themselves. The next wave dropped, and all started fighting. The beings that came from above were fallen angels. Their goal was twofold: kill or stop the believers from doing what God gave them to do, or get them to betray Jesus just as Judas had done and switch sides. Those not in Jesus, or who served the enemy, were struggling to understand what was going on, and were easy targets for the enemy's forces. The enemy's forces tried to convince them to team up with them. They did this by getting people isolated and attacking and killing them unless they agreed to serve them. Upon realizing what the enemy's forces were doing, I assigned strong members of those assigned to me to go out, scout the battlefield, seek out those who were separated from the group, assist them in resisting the enemy's forces, and if possible, convince them to join them and accept Jesus. In one instance, I came across this woman who was being assaulted by a fallen angel pretending to be an elf. I had to fight this fallen angel elf to get the woman freed from its influence. But as I'm fighting the fallen angel elf, she causes some kind of mind manipulation effect on the woman, who then tried to attack me. I was in the process of opening a portal in the sand and forcing the fallen angel elf into the portal. She was halfway down when the woman tried to follow the fallen angel elf into the portal. I had to stop the woman from doing so, who was in great distress. She punched, kicked, and screamed. I knew her mind had to be healed. I cried out to Jesus, "Jesus, I need your help." Jesus was in me. I could feel him, and he spoke to her through my lips. He said, "Be calm. I'm here to help you. Be at peace." I saw him using my hands. He brushed them across her forehead, then held both of his hands on either side of her head. I watched as these little glowing red embers came out of her head. Once they were separated from her mind, he said to them, "Be gone like dust in the wind." They stopped glowing, losing any power they had, turned gray, and floated away like dust. The woman turned and thanked Jesus and me, and then she walked away. I think she joined the battle. I rejoined the battle, realizing that my forces had been stretched far apart and were fighting in small clusters all over the place. Some of them didn't know what their orders were or what to do. I said, "Lord, I need you to enhance my voice so I can get the army's attention and regroup." He enhanced my voice, and I shouted again, "Round up, round up." I kept doing this until everyone gathered around me. Then I shouted, "The next wave is coming, brace yourselves." I looked up at the sky, and there were multitudes of waves of these fallen angels. Their forms looked like clouds in humanoid shapes. They were arranged in rows, and they were coming down from the center of the sky downwards. In the center of the sky was this intense bright light that I knew wasn't the sun. I knew it was the glory of God. The enemy's forces were fleeing from it. Once the fallen angels reached the level where the sky met low atmosphere, they changed from the form of a cloud to flesh and bone, humanoid-looking beings with whatever weapons they had. They immediately went into battle. It's almost as if the sky was a different realm, and that the moment they left the sky, they entered this realm and were given a physical body. It was very interesting. I fought for several waves, 2, possibly 3, before the alarm woke me up. My thoughts and impressions. The dream was epic, and I woke up feeling a mixture between encouragement and empowerment, which is an interesting emotional combination. Curious, I asked the Lord, "Is this dream connected to something?" I know that the reason the spell I used didn't work was because magic is linked to the enemy, all magic without question. Since he had no claim to me, nothing happened. God also protected me from doing the spell. This is also why the other person who cast a spell was killed. He couldn't attack his master. The Lord responded, "Yes, you are seeing a small part of the war going on in the spirit right now."
I love you, Lord, for your mercy never failed me all my days.